skipped ahead. Like
All right. Well, they can hear us now.
Ahead. Ah, wonderful. So, like chocolate milk.
It's one of the best drinks.
I'm glad you say that because honestly, chocolate milk it resurrects me from the dead every day.
How much do you stock up on that?
So like, they don't sell it at the local PX here. So what I do is I just go buy like a fuck ton of chocolate milk at a time.
Is there like a certain amount, or you just like as much as you can carry?
It's usually like 2 or 3 gallons at a time.
Ah.
Yeah.
How long does that last you? Just the 3 days, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Listen, dude. Like people shit on chocolate milk, but like you get some like solid like Gallickers or something.
Dude, there's some. I like True Moo. True Moo's good, but
True
it's
Moo's not
expensive.
bad. It's
It's
always like
expensive.
True Moo's a good like default chocolate milk. Like it's reliable, but there's better stuff than True Moo.
Well, yeah, it's
Dude,
the
I hate strawberry flavored chocolate milk. It is the bane of my existence.
what you don't like strawberry?
I like strawberry. I just don't like strawberry chocolate milk.
Oh, it's not chocolate milk. It's just strawberry milk.
Oh, I still don't like it. I don't think strawberries and milk go very well together.
All right, when you take your base milk and you get the strawberry syrup and you put it in your glass of milk and you just twirl it around and mix it all up, it's pretty good.
You are a barbarian.
Well, I make my own flavored milk.
No, you're a barbarian because you make strawberry milk.
Bro, I make chocolate and strawberry.
Okay, but you still make strawberry. That doesn't
Dude,
stop you from being a barbarian.
strawberry milk is so good.
No, it's not. I've had it before. I had it at Oakland. It's not even good.
Bro, did you make it or did you just pick it up off the stall?
I picked it up off the stall.
You have no you need to make your own.
Shut up.
You can't
I
have
literally
justice from
hate
store bought stuff. You can't give stuff justice from that.
You can.
Bro.
You can, bro. What?
Homemade is always better, all right?
Dude, mixing chocolate syrup with milk doesn't make it homemade. It just means
it's just
it's
good.
not homemade.
It's just
Homemade
good.
is like pressing your own like strawberry syrup and then going out back and like milking your cow.
All right, Josh.
That is homemade.
Josh, we've made strawberry syrup before.
No, you haven't made strawberry syrup before.
What
You
do
know how much like extract you need? You need like a fuck ton of
Josh.
strawberries.
Yeah, we went to the orchard.
You went to the orchard and did you also like milk some cows out back or what?
No, we got some milk from we got milk from the store.
Ah, so it wasn't homemade.
I'm
what
not-
you're telling me.
All right, Josh. What about a cake then? So there's nothing homemade at this point, Josh, to you.
Okay, no, but you can get
No.
like flour. Go out back, go to like the old grains and start
Gotta
crunching
go
them together.
get some wheat from the backfield real quick.
Dude, have you even like watched those like medieval videos where they like
I'm
make
not
their
in the
own wheat
medieval
off of, like the
times.
wheat in the yard? You've seen those, right?
Yes, I've seen those, but I'm not pressing my own wheat and stuff.
Listen, it actually looks pretty good. like they put a little bit of sugar with it and like cook it over like a rock. And that's without the stuff that makes it expand. What's that called again?
Yeast.
Yeast. Yes. Good old yeast.
Being a farmer would be pretty lit.
No, it wouldn't. Do you know why?
I know it's a
They're
lot.
the target of like everybody's anger. They're like, oh boy, I'm really angry at this king, so I'm gonna go burn all their crops. Like,
And then you just kill the king. It's that easy.
No, but they always target the farmers.
They do. For some reason, every single time, oh, something's going wrong. Burn the fields.
It's always the farmers, dude.
I don't know. Farmers these days, they always say they enjoy it.
You know, I feel like true like homemade chocolate milk is like you just gotta go get some milk from like the farmer and get some like cocoa beans and like make your own chocolate.
You know, Josh, when you come back, we're gonna go gather stuff. We're gonna make a cake or something. I don't know.
We're
You
gonna like actually like go out to a field and get some grain with our like little handheld scythe.
Yeah, maybe the wheat in my backfield will be growing and we just steal it.
Maybe. Is it sealing if it's in your yard?
Well, it's not my property. It's my family's kind of property that they loan out.
Hmm.
It's like Scotty's family side.
All right. I'm actually comfortable with this amount of people. I think our chocolate milk conversation has really elevated.
That really elevated the viewership.
Turn our mics up. How about you turn the volume up? Stupid.
We haven't changed our mic volume since last stream, and it was
Well,
okay.
I did. You didn't.
I didn't. Who's quiet, him or me?
Dude, I think it's just him. Like, if I turn my volume up, it's loud.
Yeah.
So, like, I think we're good.
If we get more complaints, we will.
If you opened up a community garden, would you be taxed for products? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Like, are we selling the products in the community? If so, like, yeah, you gotta pay state tax. Like, that's just mandatory.
If we're growing them ourselves, we don't have to pay taxes since we grew it.
Well, no, but like, if we're selling it, there has to be a sales tax that we give to the state.
Well, yeah. But we're not. Are we making a community garden?
I don't think so. I was just saying, like, in general, like, if there was a community garden, there'd have to be sales tax. Well, then there wouldn't be tax.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. Turn yourself up a little bit, Daniel.
I cannot. I am at max volume.
Okay, we'll pull the microphone closer to your mouth. I don't know.
It is. All right.
It
It's like
is
up
max.
against me right now.
Oh, maybe you should just talk louder. You know, like do what I do, and
No, let me get a good sip of my Mountain Dew.
okay, get a good sip in because we're about to get started.
I got my sip in.
You got your sip.
I got my sip.
All right.
All right. If there's some like weird voice volume stuff.
I brought like all the water. Okay, but I'm probably gonna have to get some more because my mouth is gonna go dry talking about this for like a literal hour.
Did you get a jug or is it just a normal water bottle?
It is a 1 liter water bottle.
What?
It is not going to be enough. I'm telling you
It's
now.
gonna last
Nope.
you like
Nope.
10 minutes.
No, dude. The second my mouth feels dry, I always like start hydrating.
Oh, they're asking my name. My name is Daniel. Call me Dan. That's what Josh does.
I started it, the whole Dan thing. Everybody else called him Danny, and then I showed up and like, yeah, no, his name's Dan.
I think only Cody called me Danny.
Oh, everybody called you Danny.
I don't remember.
I literally remember because I'm like, hey, can I just call you Dan? You're like, yeah, that's fine.
So this happened. Every year, my name would change. It started out with Daniel in kindergarten. Then I think it went to Danny in first grade, and in second grade it went to Dan, and then back to Daniel. And it just like, just changed every year, and it was weird.
All right, so I'll get into sanguineous around topic. I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Around topic 16, I will be at sanguineous. I didn't even finish the topics, by the way, but it depends on how much time I spent on the first one and the second one.
I don't even know what
Okay.
the topics are.
No. So starting out, we're starting out with the old ones because it all starts with the old ones. So to start out, the old ones could simply just be described as like the primogenitors of life. They were the first ones to really like evolve, right? So in this like blank universe, just a blank slate at this point. Life has barely made it off the ground. Um, it's mostly just like random like bacteria on planets and just like it's barely made it off the ground. And then the old ones popped up. They were the first ones to really sort of evolve, and they had a special connection to this realm of souls, is what they called it, called the warp. And the realm of souls, basically, like whenever someone died, is they'd go into the realm of souls, and they had such mastery over this realm that they could then pull back from the realm of souls, right? So the old ones are just like their technological master compared with the power they have over the realm of souls was just, it was unmatched because nobody at this point could match them. And they started creating like various races of alien species across the galaxy, but they had this rule, right?
All right.
This rule was basically consisted around that they would never interfere with the personal growth of one species. And then, then we're gonna start getting to the Necron tier. The Necron tier was the species of irradiated trash, basically. Like their life sucked because their sun had it was a really old sun, I think it was, and so it was like producing copious amounts of radiation, and they would just die of like cancer at like the age of 30. So their whole civilization basically revolved around death because they probably only lived into their 30s and they just kept on dying. So these guys, the Necron tier, end up going to the old ones and they're like, hey, you have technology that can help us. So could you help us? And you remember how I was saying how the old ones don't interfere with other species' growth.
Oh yeah.
It also included the fact that they couldn't help them either.
So
So the old ones gave them a middle finger, basically like, hey man, this is part of the evolutionary process. You got to figure this shit out on your own, and just left. Necron tier were pissed, like beyond pissed. So what does the Necron tier do? They declare war on them, and like this is an empire that's only spanning maybe a couple solar systems at this point, but not like they're not really well off the ground. So it's kind of a dick stomp in the battle. They just completely destroy the Necron tier and drive them back to their planet. And remember, back to what the old one says, they don't want to interfere with life's progress. So, they drive them back to their home planet and they're like, okay, well, we don't want to eradicate them because, we're like the shepherds of the galaxy. And this is probably the biggest mistake they've ever made. This is the biggest mistake to ever be made in 40k lore. I guarantee it. They fucked up major here. All right. So Necron tier is just broiling. What the hell? Is there a bot in the chat?
Is there a bot in the chat?
Oh my god. Buy Prime. Wow, that is brutal, man. They're saying, hey, you got 8 followers. You suck. Wow. What a dick. Fuck you, FF Joshy. Whatever. Anyways. Yeah, ban him. Get him out of here. Alright. So going back. The Necron tier are just broiling in all this anger. They lost this war and were just basically utterly humiliated. So they're trying to find ways they could counter the old ones. And they find this entity that feeds off of suns. Okay, and they basically go from like star to star and just consume solar energy, and that's how they sort of existed since like possibly even before the old ones. This is probably like the first concept of early life in the galaxy was just this like gas cloud that fed on stars.
So like a black hole, or
Not really. I think of it more as like a gas nebula almost that's sentient and like floats around.
what a life to live.
What a life to live. So the Necrons had this material on their planet called necrodermis, which is basically just living metal, pretty much. And they end up making these bodies for these gas clouds and basically like stuff them into these bodies and create the Catan. Now, the Catan had a they loved eating stuff, and like from their very beginning, the Catan like they liked eating solar energy because it's a lot of power. But you know what has more power than solar energy? Souls. Souls have more energy.
Never would have guessed souls.
Never would have guessed souls, would you? So they create these. They basically promise the Necrons like, okay, we'll give you the immortality you want that the Catan couldn't give you, or the old ones couldn't give you. So they create these furnaces that basically turn all of the Necron tier into what's called the Necrons. Now, if you do a quick Google search, you'll figure out that they're just like space terminators, basically, of robots, and they get all their souls eaten by the Catan.
Oh,
But they are now immortal, though, so they got that going for them. So they end up with the Catan's help and this new technology they have. They end up mass producing these new machines of war, and then go back into the galaxy. And you know how Catan like eating souls, but turns out the old ones have very juicy souls because you know think they are these master psychers. They go into the realm of souls all the time and like just come back. Well, the Catan were something that could actually kill them now, like eat their soul. Like you can't come back from this; you're dead. So they end up just raping the Catan or the old ones. The Catan and the Necrons just it is bad, like really, really bad. And so the old ones they create a race known as the Eldar and the Krorks to fight them, to fight off the Necrons. And you know, it was kind of working a little bit, but it's still the battle leaned heavily towards the Necrons and the Catan in this sort of instance, and it didn't actually help the old ones from going extinct. They still died. The Catan ate them all, but there's still the Eldar and the Krorks. Now the Krorks were interesting because they could weaponize anything. They basically, if they put their mind to it, they can weaponize anything. So that's their gimmick, right? So like they could put two sticks together and make a gun, essentially, and it just works. And that's how they sort of evolved. And like whenever they fought more, they would evolve more. So they'd get bigger, they'd get stronger, they'd get better at fighting. That's how the Krorks work. The Eldar were basically just mini old ones, essentially. They're space elves. And they were really good at fucking. That is one thing we got to keep in mind for later. They were really good at fucking. I want you to just make a mental note of that.
Are they like the base race?
No, the base race is humans, but they are probably still like apes at this point on Earth. They haven't even like made it off the ground yet.
Oh.
This whole conflict is known as the War in Heavens, just because like no war could ever compare to this war. So like it's a war in heavens basically.
Right.
So the old ones get just completely outed by the Necrons and the Catan. However, the Eldar actually managed to create their own gods. Yeah, pretty cool that they create their own gods.
Like physically or just like idols?
They're gods, like actual gods.
Oh, okay.
And with these gods, they're able to put up more of a fight against the Catan. And they also find something called Wraithbone, which is a material that's found in a place called the Webway, which is sort of like an interdimensional highway sort of deal, but it's also its own. It's its own like sort of outside universe as well. It's like the realm of souls, but different.
Okay.
So in this, I just something side note here. There's a lot of people dying, so there's a lot of like death and emotion going into the realm of souls. And the realm of souls doesn't just feed on souls; it also feeds off the emotions of everyone dying and everyone's like fears, anger, their hatred, all of that. The realm of souls feeds off of, and it's just coalescing at the moment. All of this from the war in heavens. All right. So, uh the Eldar god, think he's known as the laughing god, basically comes over to this Catan known as the Deceiver. And the Deceiver, he told the Deceiver, he's like, "Hey, you're running out of like things to eat. So, why don't you just eat other Catan?" And
Oh,
the Deceiver thought this was a genius idea. Like, this is the best thing to ever happen. Like, let's just start eating each other because there's no better meal than us because we've already eaten all these souls and we'll just become more powerful. So the Deceiver tells all the Catan this and basically makes all of them like fight each other.
dude,
And the
that's crazy.
Catan they end up fucking themselves over. And at this point, the Necrons kind of realized the Catan was just playing them the entire time and they are sick of it. So they turn their weapons on the Catan. And between the Catan fighting each other and then the Necrons turning on them, it is bad. Like the Catan are now basically either destroyed and turned into like mass shards and then weaponized, or there's like maybe just a few random shards floating about. Okay, so the Necrons without the Catan can't really fight against the Krorks or the Eldar. So they figure, let's just wait for them to die because we're immortal. So what they do is they just make these tombs on these random planets throughout the galaxy and just hunker down inside these tombs and just sink below the earth and just wait out the inevitable extinction of all their enemies because, they're immortal. Why won't you do that?
Wow, they're playing the long game, huh?
They were playing the long game. They're playing 60 chess right now.
Jeez.
Yes, they're thinking ahead. So we can kind of now get into the start of mankind. Mankind at this point is sort of just they're getting off the ground at this point. They start forming little tribes, and one. Okay, so we're gonna introduce a character here called the Emperor of Mankind. I want you to remember this name because it's very important for later. Nobody really knows how the Emperor sort of came into being. There's lots of different theories. They're like, oh, he's an old one. There's also like, oh, there's also the fact that like he was the coalescence of a bunch of shamans who did this ritual to basically put all their souls together. You can kind of just, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. Just note that like this is about the time that the Emperor sort of popped up. So, mankind does their thing. They evolve. All of history basically follows how it's done in like our world, medieval, steam age, all this other stuff. And fast forward until we reach the space age and we figure out that like, hey, there's this place called the warp, aka the realm of souls from earlier, that we can use to go into and sort of traverse the galaxy at a fast rate. That's faster than light. And with this faster than light travel, we can go from planet to planet. So mankind they spread through the stars. And through their discoveries, their research, they reach a level unlike anything. Their technology is so good. It's something that will never ever be reached in the current era, right? It's just good technology. And they create these robotic servants called the Men of Iron. And basically they like perform all their tasks for them, and they build everything for them. And the Men of Iron, you know, they're AI, and they're sick of being slaves. So what do? They revolt against the mankind, and just enter this brutal conflict that ends up in a lot of people dying, but mankind kind of wins. A lot of people die though.
That's surprising that mankind won.
No, it's not surprising.
That's-
Mankind always wins.
No, I think
Or
they
human.
should have lost.
You think they should have lost?
Yeah, who needs mankind?
Yeah, mankind always wins.
Losers.
So, we're currently at sort of the peak of the golden age of technology. Mankind has reached certain new levels. They've developed really well so far. And then come the existence of psychers. Now, psychers, basically like witches and stuff. It'd be really cool, like, getting these new like psychic abilities that you wake up with, and you just get really cool powers, and then everybody thinks this is cool until demons from the realm of souls start popping up from the warp. The demons start they use psychers to burrow into our reality. So they start these like mass like witch hunt cults to like hunt down all these witches. There's also some that like it's a mess. And the only planets that really kind of do well is the planets that hunt the psychers down and kill them before demons can start popping up. And they become a real big problem. So, you remember the Eldar?
Yeah.
And you remember how they're fucking a lot, right?
Yeah. They're doing a
Now,
lot of that.
do you remember how I mentioned that the warp is the coalescence of like all this emotion, and like from the war in heavens, all that emotion of the war sort of like coalesced a little bit.
Yeah.
So this entire time, humanity's been evolving and getting themselves off the ground. The Eldar have just been fucking a lot.
No.
Like they made these cabals because Eldar feel emotion on a different level than humans. And it's sort of like drugs where like, the first time's really good, but like the second time you have to switch it up a little bit. Like like increase the dose. It's the same thing for the Eldar. Normal sex is boring for them, so they like
No.
try to ramp it up with some like cock and ball torture pretty much. And
they grew kinks.
so they all this emotion that is being poured into the warp right now of just pain, lust, creates a god from all of that. And between the war and heavens, all that coalesced as well. So it creates Slanesh. Slanesh is what you consider a chaos god. It is also a he and a she at the same time. It's very confusing. I like to refer to it as a she, personally, just because the image looks like a she. But you also got to remember it can grow a dick anytime it wants. So is it really a she? Anyways, through this creation, the Eldar fuck themselves over to the point where I think it's like a 95% extinction event with the Eldar. Like, and through birthing this god, the god then just proceeded to eat all their souls, because Eldar souls are kind of like Old One souls, where they're like really spicy, like
Yeah.
everybody wants one. Everybody wants an Eldar soul. It's like a new kind of taste to it.
Mexican food.
Yes, it's like Mexican food. I want. I could really go for some Mexican food right now. But
Sounds pretty good.
yeah, dude, I'd love to have an Eldar soul myself. Probably tastes pretty good.
Make a new restaurant, sell out our souls.
Yeah. So basically, anybody that was on a planet at that moment in time died. So like people in space were fine. People on these like little they're called craft worlds, which are basically just like planet worlds. They're like they're ship worlds actually, right?
All right.
So through this creation of this chaos god Slanesh, um, the warp now becomes untraversable through an event known as like warp storms. The warp storms prevent travel through them. Like it's probably possible, but you're probably just your ship's going to get invaded by a shit ton of demons, and it's not going to be good. So keep in mind, mankind still traverses through the warp. The Eldar have the webway, so they're not too fucked over. But mankind, they can't travel from planet to planet now. And this period of warp storm lasts like a couple thousand years almost. So they can't reunite with humanity, and they're cut off from their like other planets' resources. So like just imagine, like Coruscant from Star Wars, right?
Oh yeah.
If if Coruscant didn't have imports from other planets, can you imagine just how fucked they would be?
Yeah. That.
Like they wouldn't get food, they
Yeah.
couldn't get like anything. They would be absolutely. That's pretty much what happens
Oh.
in 40K. They are cut off from all their resources, and through this thousands of years of time, humanity collapses, just completely topples on itself, and Earth, aka Terra, uh, enters into an age of strife where they're just techno barbarians running around like Mad Max deserts. Like it is beautiful, and
I'm gonna call it
they proceed
beautiful.
to do this for a very long time until you remember the emperor of mankind. Remember
Yeah.
that guy?
Comes back.
He decides he can't just sit in the shadows because humanity, you know what, they did really good by themselves there for a second, but now like he needs to step in because there's no way they can fix themselves from this event. So the emperor steps out and he creates these bioengineered super warriors called the Thunder Warriors, who are these they call it Adeptus Astartes, but they're like the the beginner level. Like they're like level 1. If normal Astartes are like level 5, these guys are level 1. So he uses these super warriors to then reunify Terra, and in doing so, he actually abolishes all religion because the Emperor believes that religion is the root cause of everything sucking, pretty much. So he's like, we're going to create a new age of science and technology where, science will benefit mankind more than religion. And, doing this, he has to exterminate some people because religion's a very prominent thing on Earth, right? There's a lot of religion.
Yeah, and really just a thought can be a religion.
Yes, yes. So like he just kills everyone that really associates with religion. Yeah. So the emperor, uh, he needs a way to reunify the galaxy, and he's just one dude. Granted, he's a really powerful dude because depending on what you look at, he's either an old one or he's just this coalesced mass of psyker souls that just mush together into one being. Um, so he decides that he's going to create 20 of these Primarchs. Okay, and these Primarchs were basically made from his own genome with like extra stuff. like warp energy mixed in with it. So they're already pretty beefy to begin with. I would go into the 20 Primarchs, but it doesn't matter right now because eventually, you remember how Slaanesh was birthed into existence.
Yeah.
So it through Slaanesh's creation, Slaanesh was able to pull other chaos gods that were sort of dormant into existence. Because remember, the War in Heavens happened, which just coalesced all this emotion. However, it was really like sort of in the background. It was a lot, but at the same time, it wasn't enough to really manifest. But through the Eldar's mass fucking event of just murder fuck, when the calamity of Slaanesh happened, uh, it woke them up. They were no longer dormant. They were active now. They knew what shit was going on around them. So, this this the chaos gods we got here. We got Slaanesh, we got Khorne, like corn on the cob, except with a K.
Yeah, I've heard about Khorne.
You've heard about Khorne. Okay, that's good. And then you got Tzeentch. So these chaos gods all sort of have like their respective domains. Khorne's thing is like blood and murder. You probably know that.
Yeah.
Tzeentch is like being super deceitful to people and tricking people as well as like magic and stuff. Nurgle is the cycle of life and death and everything in between. So you can think of like viruses, because even at its lowest form, like even a virus is technically a life form, right?
Yeah.
So he does a lot with like plagues and all that fun shit. Slaanesh, you already know who Slaanesh is. I don't need to get into it. Murder, fuck, God. Like,
Yeah.
don't need to get into it. So through these Primarchs, the Chaos Gods are like, hey, we're just gonna scatter all of these Primarchs throughout the galaxy. And luckily enough for the Primarchs, or unluckily enough for one of them, they get put on human worlds for some reason. Don't know why. I honestly, that was probably like one of the Chaos Gods' like biggest mistake was putting them on human worlds. But
yeah.
They got put on these like random human worlds, and every single one of them has their own little story. Like they have their own like full-on fledged books, basically telling of like their time on that planet, and then what happened when they got off of it, and like how they met the Emperor. I'll get into that stuff later. All right, so the Emperor goes to Mars after losing all these Primarchs, and his first step was like Mars has humans on it that worship technology, basically. Now, at the same time, this is kind of a win-lose scenario for the Emperor because, like, he hates religion, but at the same time, it's like they worship technology, though. So it's like,
wasn't that what he wanted, basically?
It's he still gets technology out of it, but they're worshiping stuff. Because his whole thing was like religion sort of like stalls progress, but these guys worship progress, basically. So they're like, he's like, all right, I'll let your religion be.
You guys are kind of on the border here, but
Like, we're just kind of see this little issue here, but we're gonna let you be for now. So he grabs they're called the Adeptus Mechanicus, by the way, and they create like titans, which is really cool. Big old machines. So the Emperor goes about with a new upgraded version of the Thunder Warriors. By the way, he killed all of them.
Oh.
He made a new upgraded version called the Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, the Warriors of the Emperor, based off of the genomes of the Primarchs. And with these, he launches the Great Crusade.
Sounds interesting.
Yes, the Great Crusade, where he reunifies all of Earth's lost planets, because warp travel's now a thing. They can go back through the warp and travel now. So they go planet to planet, picking up Primarchs, picking up human colonies and start reunifying Earth's old allies, basically. And with Space Marines, there's not a whole lot you can do to fight back against Space Marines because they're literally like Captain America on steroids. I think I talked with you about this.
Yeah,
They're basically just Captain America with power armor.
it's sick.
Uh, yeah, pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna fast forward some years. All right, I'm gonna go into some of our key players of Primarchs. All right. First, you have Magnus the Red. He is a Primarch who, at the very beginning, after being separated, had a psychic connection with the Emperor because he was such a powerful psyker himself. So the Emperor kind of like knew where Magnus was at because Magnus basically made himself known through his own psychic powers. And Magnus was obsessed with sorcery and uh, just knowledge in general. That was kind of his little shtick there. He loved it. He loved learning all that fun stuff. And then our next key player is Lorgar. He he wasn't really brought up as like a fighter on his planet. He's more like just a religious cultist, essentially. Remember, the Emperor hates religion, so just want you to note that down for later.
All right, it's noted.
And then our next key player here is Horus. Horus, I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know any of his lore, like any of it. I don't know what planet he was on. I don't know anything cool he did. Like I think I know like every single Primarch's background except for Horus's, which is probably a fault my area, but like I already know like a good bit of it, so I'm not gonna hold myself down. All right, so Horus, um, he has this great idea from his pal Erebus, who is one of the word bearers. The word bearers are sons. They're the Space Marine Legion to Lorgar. Erebus is one of them. He has this great grand old idea to basically turn on the Imperium and follow chaos. He also got stabbed by a chaos blade. Didn't know that, but And Magnus foresees Horus's betrayal before it happens because powerful psyker, and he looks through the warp and he sees this massive barrier that's preventing him from contacting the Emperor to let him know like shit's about to hit the fan with Horus betraying. And the Emperor he put up this barrier. So Magnus can't contact the Emperor with his psychic powers because this barrier's put up. So he makes a deal with this demon entity, Siege. He makes a deal with him he gives him enough power, juiced up power to break through the barrier. And in doing so, he caused a massive fuck ton of demons to swarm through Terra. And the Emperor was actually working on the secret webway project so that mankind wouldn't have to use warp anymore. They could use the webway, which means they wouldn't be held down by warp storms anymore. Super secret though. So Magnus lets the Emperor know. He's like, "Hey, Horus is literally gonna betray us all. Like, we got to do something." The Emperor's pissed, and he tells one of the Primarchs, Lehman Russ, to bring him back to Terra in chains, essentially, because he's pissed. The Emperor's like, "Horus would never betray me, stupid. Like, he's Horus. Like, he's such a trustworthy guy.
Come on.
Like, he would never." Horus, at this point, has already turned to chaos. He just hasn't really, like, betrayed yet. And he tells Lehman Russ, he's like, "Hey, the orders have changed. I want you to kill Magnus." So, then starts the burning of Prospero. Prospero is the planet Magnus usually chilled at. He's like his home planet. And keep in mind, there's like 18 other Primarchs.
Yeah.
I just haven't gone over all of them, but I'll try and get to that because we're already 48 minutes in, and I'm halfway through this list.
Jeez.
I got a lot of shit. Like, we're not even to like modern Warhammer yet. We're still in like the Mythic era.
Are you finishing this in this cast, or are we gonna do a second one?
This might have to be a part two. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
I
part
think
two.
I'm gonna finish up the Horse Heresy because we're almost at 48 minutes.
All right.
So, yes, this whole event's known as the Horse Heresy. Um, so Magnus the Red, he his whole shit's just it's breaking down, and Lehman Russ is invading his planet with the Space Wolves, who actually have like this sort of natural resistance to psychic powers, and Lehman Russ himself is immune to it. So Magnus, he's kind of depressed, so he just kind of hides in the little pyramid. Yeah, he kind of just
Okay.
hides in his pyramid. And it is like a mass extermination outside. Ahriman, who is his like chief son, basically, he's a space marine of the Thousand Suns Space Marine Legion. He's the one carrying the effort right now, but he's just one guy. Like, there's not a lot he can do, but he's doing something. He's doing more than Magnus was, and it is a slaughter. And eventually, you know, his legion's about to be eradicated. His people are burning. Magnus finally decides to step out, and like he unleashes like his full power and ends up like disintegrating people. He turns water into like boiling mess and then shoots it at people, and they end up like melting inside of their armor. And like this dude's level of power is insane. But Lehman Russ is immune to all this, so he's not affected by it. But he marches his happy ass up, and they start fighting. And you know, it's not completely one sided. It's still it still sort of favors Lehman Russ in that fight. But at the end of the day, Magnus is still a Primarch, and Primarchs are just naturally like strong beings. And Magnus is able to like alter his physiology at will, so he can actually make himself stronger. But at the end of the day, he's not a fighter. Magnus rips out one of his hearts, and then Lehman Russ basically suplexes his spine into his knee,
Oh.
and yeah, like shatters his soul through it. I I couldn't tell you how. And like I think Ahriman like escapes with Magnus in time, and the Thousand Suns like flee Prospero just before Lehman Russ like destroys everything. And this was like the first like major event in the Horus Heresy was when Lehman Russ showed up to Prospero and just slaughtered the Thousand Suns. So that's kind of a shitty situation for Magnus because he's technically trying to help them, but in the process got fucked over. Like really shitty situation, but really smart on Horus's part because that he took out like a possible key player there. Like good on you, Horus. So unbeknownst to like everybody else, the award bearers have been doing some talking. You remember the word bearers, right? They're Lorgars.
Yeah.
You know, good guy Erebus over here. He's been like talking to like other people's legions and stuff, and sort of like corrupting them to chaos as well. One of these guys, his name's Angron. Now you remember how he said it ended up good for everybody except one when the Primarchs got separated like different human worlds.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Angron happened to be one of them, and it's literally in his name. It's like angry on. That's sort of how I remember his name because he's angry all the time.
Yeah.
The second he was discovered on his planet, he was basically turned into a gladiator and forced to fight people and just murder them. And he ended up having these things called the butcher's nails inserted into his brain, which I guess juiced up his brain with a shit ton of adrenaline. So he just turned into like a monster fighter, basically. You didn't really want to fight this guy. And he ends up starting a revolution on his planet. But, he's probably not the greatest tactician. And the people he's fighting with are not the greatest of tacticians either. They're just fighters at the end of the day. So they end up getting, like, pretty much destroyed. And then, the Emperor's kind of watching this whole thing go on. And he's like, all right, I'm going to zap him up now. And he teleports Angron on his ship. He's like, hey, listen, I know you're Primarch, but even you can't win that battle. And Angron is pissed and basically throws a temper tantrum and basically hides away in his room and basically kills anybody that shows up in his room. And then Karn shows up because he's pissed off. Karn is a normal space marine, by the way. And he's pissed off at Angron because Angron, he just started killing people. So
move.
Yeah, like, fuck him. So Karn, like, he fights Angron, and it's a one-sided fight. Like, it's no, the Emperor definitely screwed over Angron because he could have 100% saved everybody by just showing up and just slaughtering them, but he just teleported him into his ship. Angron would have rather stayed on the planet and just die with his friends, basically. So, water. Karn fights him a little bit, and Angron, he's a fighter, so he's kind of impressed by Karn. He's actually a pretty good fighter compared to, like, everybody else he's run into, and this sort of, like, snaps him out of his, like, little temper tantrum phase. He's like, okay, these guys aren't completely useless. So he leads his legion, but, like, from the very beginning with Angron, he got fucked from the start. Like, if anybody's going to turn to chaos from the start, it'd be him. And he actually was one of the first to be corrupted by chaos. So, yeah, that's a thing. So, fast forward back to modern time, where Magnus got absolutely obliterated. Horus and Lorgar actually are, like, the big two contributing chaos people right now that are sort of, like, spreading their influence around to other legions. And they sort of, like, show up on this planet. I'm actually looking up what planet it was on. Istvan 5. They show up on this planet called Istvan 5. And they had corrupted some other legions. And they sort of make their presence known to the Imperium. They're like, oh, hey, this is where we're sort of, like, starting our betrayal here. Like, this is where we're all gathered. Right? And so the Emperor's like, all right, let's just crush them with 3 legions. So he sends Vulcan, who's the Primarch of the Salamanders. He sends Conrad Kurz, who's the Primarch of the Raven Guard. He sends fucking Iron Hands guy. I don't know why I'm farting on his name. Dude, I cannot. What is his name? Ferrus Manus. He sends Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands, there, and they're like, we're gonna dick stomp the traitors. Like, we outnumber them. Like, Vulcan makes this huge quote of, like, yes, he used to be our, like, war master, but now he betrayed us all. So we show up now at the precipice of battle, and we're gonna fight. And we're gonna win because we outnumber our foe. Basically, giving this, like, super badass speech. And then when they land, they quickly realize that those 2 legions weren't the only ones to betray the Imperium. And they're proceededly ganked by the World Eater. They're ganked, like, 5 other legions. So it's like 3 versus 5 legions. And it is an absolute massacre. And this is where we dub the name the Drop Site Massacre. And it is bad. The loyalists here end up getting absolutely butt-fucked into oblivion. And basically leave the Imperium's main sort of assault force destroyed. And they actually lost a Primarch here. They lost Ferrus Manus because Fulgrim, Primarch of the Emperor's chosen. the Emperor's children. Yeah, the Emperor's children ended up killing Ferrus Manus by decapitating him. But that's kind of upsetting. By the way, if any of these like characters interest you, they have these long ass wiki pages. So, yeah. So they all retreat to Terra, basically Earth. They all pull back to Earth. You know, the traders sort of carve out this warpath throughout the Imperium's lands, and you know, one of these individuals who's actually my favorite Primarch. I've mentioned him before to you, Rogel Dorn.
Ah, Rogodorn.
Yes, Rogel Dorn, favorite Primarch, the most loyalist of the boys. He didn't do anything like super big during the Great Crusade, but he did build like the Imperial Palace on Earth. But that was kind of a big thing. And he had like the largest fleet. Like he did some things, but he probably wasn't like a big contributor. But he was up there in the running for War Master. War Master being like the leader of all the armies of the Imperium. He was up there for the running, but like he has sent like this reclamation force to like go and like fight all these legions that like had just betrayed the at the drop site massacre to see if maybe there were some survivors left. And the Emperor at the time said, "All right, everybody, get your ass back to Earth." And the Imperial Fist actually engaged these the Iron Warriors in a fleet battle. The Iron Warriors are like sworn enemies of the Imperial Fist because they're big baby haters that are just angry because the Imperial Fists are better than them. That's not actually true, but I like to think it's true. You know, they ambushed the Imperial Fist like, "Oh, we have the upper hand," and the Imperial Fist was like, "Yeah, bitch, you thought," and ended up like turning the battle into their favor, and literally could have killed the Primarch of the Iron Warriors. But then Rogel Dorn was like, "Hey, get your ass back to Earth. We gotta build up some defenses." And without even thought, they're like, "Okay," and they all leave. They all leave that battle, like coming really close to killing Perturabo, but just decide to leave. And these are like normal fucking Space Marines, by the way. Like they're not Primarchs, they're just Space Marines. But they're the most loyal boys. Well, they come back to Earth and they start fortifying the defenses. At this time, Rogel Dorn is named the new War Master because he's kind of the first one to show up at Earth because he's the most loyal boy. And proceeds to start fortifying Earth's defenses. And he turns the Imperial Palace into a fortress, which he was actually really sad about because he wasn't just about like defense. He also liked making beautiful buildings. He liked architecture. He liked building things. That's what he really enjoyed. But he was sad when he had to turn all of the things he once enjoyed into a fortress of death.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. You know, being an artist and then having to turn your art into war kind of sucks. But he was really good at it, though. Like, really, really good at it. Horus had said before he betrayed that if Rogel Dorn held a fortress against his own legion, that nobody would gain any ground. And they'd just be at a stalemate forever. You know, Horus, the War Master, that was War Master for a reason. Rogel Dorn, being named the new War Master of the Imperium, quickly solidified the defenses of the solar system and became very, very paranoid of anything and everything. We're talking like ships just showing up inside the solar system, went through like hundreds of checks, and then like even when they arrived at their area to, you know, drop off goods or whatever, they were then thoroughly checked again. Like full on, he was paranoid as fuck. But you know, for good reason, because he didn't know how the traders were going to attack. He knew nothing other than they're coming. We just don't know when. And you know, it was. I don't think Sanguinius is quite at the. I don't think he's quite at Terra yet. I'm pretty sure it's just the Imperial Fists that are at Terra, just kind of hunkering down the defenses. And you know, we're this dude known as Alfarius kind of fucks with Dorn a little bit by showing like, hey, I got my men through your defenses and I vandalized your statues and shit like that, which ended up pissing Dorn off. But at the same time, he realized that his defenses weren't enough, so he's like, gotta make more defenses. And one of the Imperial Fists actually infiltrates the Alpha Legion, which is like Alpharius's Space Marine Legion, infiltrates them, figuring out they're planning an attack on Pluto. And the Imperial Fists are like, okay, so now we know they're going to show up there. And the Alpha Legion shows up there and starts fucking everybody up. But then the entirety of the Imperial Fist Legion shows up. And they just proceed to gank them.
What's on Pluto?
What's on Pluto?
Yeah, what's
probably just fortresses. Because, he weaponized every factor of Earth, or like the solar system, right?
Just make Pluto a Star Destroyer.
Oh, bro, no, it was a fortress world. Like, wholeheartedly. And, Alpharius tells Rogue Dorn, he's like, hey, man, you can't win this fight by just hunkering down at defense. Like, you have to think a little more abstract. And Rogue Dorn doesn't say a word and just starts beating the shit out of him. And ends up killing him in, 20 seconds tops. Like, it is not a very long fight, and it is a brutal fight.
Oh.
Dude, it is bad. Like, he ends up sawing him in half because he has a chainsword.
Oh my.
Pretty brutal. So, he's actually one of the only Primarchs to have a confirmed traitor kill. Fun fact. So, fast forward some time. Eventually, all the traitors show up, and breaking through the solar system, the Imperial Fist have to retreat to Earth, and they basically just hunker down on Earth and just start defending it with every last bit. And a few other legions showed up. I think it's the Blood Angels and the White Scars show up to defend Earth against those other 5 or 8 other legions or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I just know it was a lot. Just a lot. He's fighting a lot. Okay. So, Rogue Dorn really does his best to defend Terra. He does a really good job too, because you think about the invading forces easily 3 times their number, but he does a great job defending. And Horus was right in the fact that a fortress held by Dorn is not going to be an easy thing to take, and he was 100% right on that. And they try various schemes to try and break through, but nothing that seems to work because their defenses are just that solid. And Horus is starting to run out of time because there's only 3 legions here. They destroyed a big majority of the other legions, but there's still 3 that are still full size, ready for war. And he knew they weren't just going to sit around forever. Obviously, the Dark Angels, which were under a different Primarch called Lionel Johnson, were kind of dealing with their own sort of internal strife going on between half their legion basically betraying. The other guys were we got the Ultramarines, who were sort of on the outskirts, sort of trying to get to Terra. So Horus is I don't have time to sit here forever because I'm not making very much progress. He's making progress, but it's not fast enough. But yes, eventually with the forces he has, he could take Terra, but he just doesn't have time. So he lowers the shields on his flagship and goads the Emperor and the Primarchs there into showing up. So Rogue Dorn, Sanguinius, a bunch of Space Marines, decide to teleport onto his flagship. But through some warp fuckery, their teleport was scattered, and Sanguinius ended up in Horus's throne room, basically alone by himself. And he had just fought like a full-on greater demon, and like barely won, but he still won because Sanguinius. But he's sort of weakened after his duel, and Horus ends up killing him. The Emperor shows up, sees his son is dead, sees his favorite son Horus killed his other favorite son Sanguinius. Kind of angry, but still kind of sad. Ends up fighting, but he's sort of holding himself back. And between Horus being buffed up by the Chaos Gods and the Emperor sort of holding back, he wasn't able to do much until eventually he realized that there's no saving Horus. So what did he do? He shot mind bullets and deleted his soul.
What?
Yeah, he deleted his soul from existence. He's gone because the Emperor's just that powerful. But the Emperor's not powerful enough to stop himself from dying because he got stabbed a bunch of times. So this dude, the Emperor, he's dying on the ground right now, and Rogel Dorn shows up, finds the Emperor dying on the ground, and picks him up and then brings him back to Earth, and they end up putting him on the golden throne of Earth. And basically, Rogel Dorn feels like he failed the Emperor, mainly because he couldn't get there in time because he's scattered, and he failed the Emperor. It's all his fault. But that is the end of Act 1. There's probably gonna be like 3 or 4 more acts of this, but
What?
I skipped over so much.
Oh my.
There was a lot. That was a lot, wasn't it?
That was quite a bit.
What did you think?
There's a lot. I didn't know there was that much.
Dude, there's so much more too.
The Warhammer I know who Rogel Dorn was. I just see these guys in power armor.
They got some really good books though. Oh yeah. No, listen, the Tau Empire isn't even around yet. They're not even evolved. Oh yeah, there's more. There's another faction joining soon, by the way.
Cool.
They have their own set of lore too. It's probably another 30 minutes to explain. So as you can see, oh yeah, the orcs, by the way. You remember the Krorks?
Yeah.
They evolve into the orcs, who are just crazy, stupid, and crazy. Their whole gimmick is, Wong! Oh, you think you're bigger than me, eh, boss? Talking in this broken ass British accent. But it's great at the same time because it's comedic, but terrifying at the same time. It's a really good mix. Yeah, the old ones forgot to install an off button into the orcs. They're let's create this race of people that can just weaponize anything by thinking it into existence, and just let them run around killing things because we're the old ones and we just don't want to get eaten. By the way, the Necrons are still sleeping at this time.
Oh, they're still underground.
Still underground sleeping, but they pop up in 10 or 8,000 years from now, I think. Yeah, about that. 7 or 8,000 years. That's all I can think. But yeah, no, just from first impression, what do you think? I may not be the best conveyor of information, but that was a lot.
Are there movies of this yet?
Nope, but there's a book series. Lots and lots of book series.
Man, I can't read.
Nah, I don't blame you. I don't read that much. Sort of just watch videos on it. If you're that interested in it, you can find lore videos online talking about it. And it'll reiterate some stuff that I already went over to give you a background.
Huh.
But all this for just a tabletop game that is very expensive.
Oh my.
Yes, this podcast has been an hour and 13 minutes, and I haven't even scratched the surface of it. And I skipped
crazy.
so much of it. Like all those Primarchs have their own stories, have their own adventures they went on in the Great Crusade, have their own stories in the Horus Heresy. Like I only focused on like a few of them, but there's more. There's a lot more to it, man.
So I'm thinking, mark where you are in the story, and we might just like do a Warhammer cast and like once a month.
Yeah, that might have to be a thing. Because there's a lot. I went over the Age of Iron or the Men of Iron. I went over them. I also went over the Dark Ages technology.
I have an idea for this.
Actually, what's up?
Do you want like pictures to pop up on screen when you start talking about them?
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
We could make that happen for the next one.
Hell yeah, dude! I can send you some pictures on the topics I'm gonna cover.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to mark them.
The question is, do you want to go over like each individual Primarch?
That's up to you. Do you want to talk about this?
Dude, that's like 20 months of content right there. 18 months of content because
If you
don't
wanted,
matter.
if you want to do that,
like I could spend an hour just talking about each individual Primarch, dude. Like,
because this is pretty much your cast right now. When you
oh my god, there's a lot. I think I'm gonna go over like basic general story right now, and then I'll like sort of go back and talk about the Primarchs and how they sort of affect modern day 40k.
All right.
No, I won't say that because the next we're gonna talk about how heavy are the dumbbells you lift next.
Yeah. We're gonna get someone else on who's watched it, hopefully, if he's free. But next week is actually a very special day to me. It is Pokemon Day. So half of that stream, I might just explain the lore of that, actually. It won't take as long as Warhammer, but...
No.
But Pokemon actually has a very extensive lore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got like 3 gods.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
I didn't know there were gods.
Yes, there is a Pokemon in the Pokedex, which I'm pretty sure is like just called the God Pokemon.
Can you control them?
Huh?
Can you control them?
Yeah, you can catch them.
Stupid.
Well, Dialga and Palkia, that's time and space, but then Arceus is the god. Yeah, he's pretty
Of course
cool.
you know what it is. Fucking Dr. Scat, man.
Dude, Pokemon's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know shit about it though. I was never interested. Although Dinosaur King was pretty good, but that was like a sheer Pokemon ripoff.
Oh, I remember Dinosaur King. It's on Netflix. Did you know that?
What?
Yes, it's on
Oh,
Netflix.
what?
Yeah. I found it one day and I'm like, no way. This is like that's like scratching like the faint memories of my brain from like 4 kids.
Oh my god. Oh,
You,
it's been so long.
are we allowed to stream anime on Twitch?
I don't think you can.
That would be fun to just binge watch an entire like just anime sometimes.
That'd be cool. Just talk about it. I know some YouTubers get away with like posting anime reactions.
Yeah. I don't know if like anime music's copyrighted because a lot of them just react to their music and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And they don't get in trouble, so I don't know.
All right, man. Well, that's probably gonna wrap it up here because my throat hurts.
What an hour to sit here and listen to lore.
The Lorecast. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed. This was Gift of Gab, brought to you by the Masters Clan and the Martinet Clan.
Yeah.
We're going to be starting our clan.
Yeah.
Like our Naruto clans, except like after our last names.
Would you like to join my clan?
No. No, see, everybody's going to join the Masters Clan because I got chocolate milk. You know, you know how they have like little like finger motions that they do?
Their
Like,
hand signals, like the.
Mine is just gonna be like a fake cup of chocolate milk and you drinking it real quick before you enter a stance. That's gonna be my thing.
It's like a protein shake.
Fear the protein.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, I think this is what we have for tonight. Thank you all for watching and listening. Join us next weekend, Saturday, 8 p.m. Most likely, same time. We'll chat.
We got some Pokemon, some a little bit insight on how heavy are the dumbbells you lift. My favorite anime of all time.
What a great anime.
What a great anime.
Who knows? Maybe this week you should watch it before you tune in.
Maybe.
Have
really
your
good
own thoughts.
Yeah.
If you have any recommendations, go to the Skill Unlocked YouTube channel. This is where these get posted. Comment if you have any ideas, if you want to join us, any of that stuff. Say how you like the show. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. That was going to be an awkward few seconds where you don't shut off the stream in time.